What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Pursuit of Growth. I hope you have been well. On this channel, we follow my weed control and fertilization business. I just got started, but I've been in the lawn care industry for over 16 years. So if that's something that's interesting to you, I welcome you to like, subscribe, share, tell your friends that might find some value in this, and come along for the ride. So many of you have been asking for an update on my parents' lawn, which was seeded a little more than a year ago with Jonathan Green's Black Beauty Dense Shade Mix. Many of you have asked, what's the update? What does it look like? So today we're gonna jump out, take a look at it. Just so happens, the guys are here cutting the grass for the final time. So this lawn is on its, I think, third final cut of the year. The season we've had is always quite interesting. And you think, oh, this is it. This is the end of the final cuts, and then it'll be like 60 for a couple days and the grass will continue to grow. This probably will actually be the final cut. It was 29 degrees last night. I think those days of those sporadic 60-degree temperatures are done for. So I'm gonna stay out of their way because they're working on a Saturday, God bless them. When they're finished up with the cut, we'll take a look at everything. If you haven't checked out where this lawn has been and what I've done with it over the past year, I recommend you check out any of the Jonathan Green seeding videos I did a little more than a year ago. This was basically a bare dirt renovation, right? I didn't like smoke this yard off with any chemicals or anything like that. I just basically raked the heck out of it, scalped it down to nothing, and then put that dense shade mix down. The day after I put that dense shade mix down, it was like 95 degrees. First week of September that this all took place. After that, the temperatures plummeted and we never saw a day, I think, above 60. It was really cold, so the seed really didn't have a great chance to flourish because it got so cool so quick. Kind of like how it is around here now, and we're in mid-November. It was like that from like mid-September on last year. Just a really quick cool down of everything. So the seed really didn't take off the way I wanted it to. Going into the springtime of the next year, it started to show some progress, and I was maintaining it at a height all year of 2.5 inches. I was also feeding it on a regular program that you would do for basically any cool season lawn. Not a ton of nitrogen. This got a little bit more than I would usually do because I was trying to make up for the lack of establishment that we saw in the fall. But here's the problem, and I never thought of this. So this is where it comes down to. The reason I believe that this Jonathan Green dense shade mix didn't take or hold the way I wanted it to. I managed this incorrectly, and I have no problem saying that. I'm always learning. This lawn was sown with a dense shade mix, and what are most dense shade mix consisting of? Your red fescues, your creeping fescues, chewing fescues. I think this one had a ryegrass and a very, very tiny bit of bluegrass in it. And the problem is those varieties of turf grass, they're different, right? When we look at chewing and creeping and red fescues, they are usually considered low mow or low maintenance cultivars of grass. But we were cutting this weekly. I mean, and at 2.5 inches, and I was also feeding it like it was a regular cool season bluegrass fescue rye. And you can't do that with those varieties of grass because they're much more temperamental. All the inputs need to be back down. You need to take care of them in a slightly different way to get things established. I overfed it, and it looked good up until July, and this happened. It's bad. It's bad, bro. Oh, my yard. Oh man. Oh, that's not good for my parents. Oh man. Not good. Not good. Oh, not good. So you can see from those pictures that in June it was screaming, it looked great. July came and that flooding occurred, and from there it just went downhill. So I think the problem wasn't in the seed, it was in the management strategy. So they don't need mowed as much. I was mowing it at 2.5. And then the input, so it was just probably too much for it. And you can see what it looked like coming out of the summer, and it was just wrecked. I mean, it was thin, it just wasn't healthy. So what did I do? This fall, I seeded turf type tall fescue into this. And we're gonna see how that works. Like I said, it was 29 degrees last night, so the color is going away, but this is what it's looking like. And we will see next year how the fescue that is now sown into this, how that works out in the heat of the summer. The other thing is that tree takes up a lot of moisture, a lot of nutrients, and though the Jonathan Green Dense Shade Mix did look good up until like July, and I'm not sure if that flooding brought in a fungus. There may have been some armyworm damage that I missed because we dealt with that in this region. There could have been a number of things. The number one thing I want you to take away from this is I don't believe it was the seed itself, the Dense Shade Mix by Jonathan Green. I don't believe that is what failed to perform. I believe I failed to perform. I didn't cut it and manage it the way that it should have been. I didn't feed it and treat it the way it should have been for that variety of grass. And for that reason, I needed to come back and overseed it this fall. I used a turf type tall fescue by, I think it was Barenbrog, and we're gonna see how the fescue holds. I've seen some impressive photos circulating on the interwebs of fescue and how it handles shade, and I've seen some pretty impressive results. So we're gonna try the fescue. I think the fescue and its ability to drive down deeper roots, it's more of a transition zone grass. I think it might be able to hold strong when competing with this tree. And speaking of this tree, you can see the limbs hanging down. That does us no favors. The sun rises over that way and it sets over this way. And the amount of morning sun that this stand gets is not so great. And it's interesting that this hillside, as you saw from that picture, when the morning sun was starting to get intense, this is what really showed signs that it couldn't keep up. Again, it rises over there, so that morning sun was shooting straight into this way, and that's why the hillside didn't look so great if we look at that picture again. But it wasn't, in general, getting much sun, and this tree needs some pretty serious maintenance every few years. And I actually have my friend Kevin come in once things go a little bit more dormant, and he's gonna get rid of all those suckers. I think we're gonna pull this entire branch off the tree if it's safe to do so as far as tree health goes. And that'll open up a lot more of this area to morning sun once we get into the spring and move into summer. Probably gonna limb up some of those hangers over there. That's the update. Again, I don't want to blame the seed. I'd much rather blame my management practices, and that's just the awesome thing about turf grass, even as I'm get into it with my own business, is just learning how to appropriately manage these things. We'll continue to follow this into next year with the turf type tall fescue I put into it. I think I'll be able to manage it a little more at a normal rate, but that's it, guys. I just want to give you a brief update, which a lot of you are asking for, the Jonathan Green Dense Shade Mix. Again, I don't want to blame the mix. I'd rather blame myself and my management, but that's okay. That's how we learn. That's how we get better at our craft. If this is something that you're interested in, I welcome you to subscribe, leave a comment. What do you think? Much more content, even though the season's kind of getting to an end here. There's much more to talk about as I grow in my weed control and fertilization business. Since July, I've gotten licensed and I've taken my business from 0 to 22 customers, a little over 100,000 square feet of treatable area per round, and I'm looking to expand that. That's with word of mouth only, no official marketing, but we're gonna talk about that stuff. I look forward to having you along with me as I learn and grow my weed control and fertilization business, Turflogic. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single view. Thank you for taking the time, and we'll catch you next time. Later.